Hello everyone and welcome to tonight's live stream. Tonight we're doing question time as we do every Wednesday. If you don't know what this means, this is a chance for you to ask me any question you have about game development, UE4, UE5, whatever you really want. So it's totally free game or whatever questions you want to ask. I want to apologise first of all for a slight delay in starting. As you know, as the camera image looks weird, I kept going all red for some reason. This will have to do. So I can fix it another time. But anyway, thank you for being patient and thank you for joining chat. I can see chat open on the side here, so thank you very much for joining us. So I can see you got TH Gaming, Orion, Tailored Art, hello, Azar, Beatrice, hello everyone. Hope everyone is all safe, well and healthy and excited to ask questions. So if you don't know how this works, all you've got to do is put your question into chat, and once you've done that, you can then I'll try and catch it, I'll try and answer it as best I can in the time we do have. We usually run for about an hour or so. So yeah, I'll ask you a question away. If I do miss your question, don't fret, just put it in there again and I'll try and catch it next time, okay? And this is something we do every Wednesday. Patrons will get access to the archive of this footage straight after the show, whereas everyone else will get it next week. So if you do miss the end of this or you can't stay for the whole thing, don't fret, you can see the archive footage later on. Before we do get started, a few things to point out. We do have private tuition still available, so if you want a private one-to-one session, head over to my website, ryan.com/sessions, where you can find details about costs, what it involves, and availability. So if you want to see what my available slots are in August, you're more than welcome to have a look. And if you want to get a session booked, just email me at support@ryan.com. All the information on the website. So let's get started and jump straight in. Now, one of the benefits of becoming a patron, by the way, is that you have access now to the question time queue jump room on Discord. So if you want to have a chance to ask a question before the live stream begins, because you can't make it necessarily, you can ask a question over on Discord and you get priority access. So let's answer a couple of questions we've got from Discord first of all, and before we're jumping into the YouTube chat. So we have one from TH Gaming, who I believe is in chat as well. Is there any way to clean up a project before moving on to a new level or packaging the project itself, so removing any assets that aren't used or referenced? Thanks in advance. Okay, so it's quite a common question I get, because people are usually importing a load of assets. They usually have too much and that aren't being used. So the way you get around this is there are plugins that do it, but you can do it for free. If you make a brand new empty project, then migrate them too. Once you do that, it will take over not just the map, but every single thing that is referenced by the map, the assets inside the map, the things that will be spawned inside of those, and so on and so forth, leaving behind all the junk. So your brand new project will now contain only that stuff that is required. So that's one way of getting around that, and it works quite well. I've used it in the past to really clean up my projects, and it's cheap and easy to do. So hopefully it helps you out, TH Gaming. We have another question in the Q Jump chat in Discord. So this is from Muhammad Ali. I very much doubt it's the actual Muhammad Ali, but hello Ryan, I've been having fun with FPS RPG series. I was wondering how to make the HUD, crosshair, ammo count, etc. invisible again when exiting the menu. Thanks in advance for the great tutorials as always. Okay, so simple as much. All you have to do is either, I can't remember if we do it in FPS RPG as a hidden or as just remove it. If you remove the HUD from the parent, just create the HUD again and put it onto the screen by adding it to viewport. Alternatively, if you are hiding it rather than destroying it by removing it from parent, you just turn it back to visible when you do that level switch. So if you're following that system, that is the way you want to do that. Okay, hopefully that helps you out there, Mohammed. Okay, let's jump into YouTube chat. I can see we've got quite a few questions going on here. This is from Marcus Henrique. Ryan, have you noticed the low-res shadows you get from water system at least, when using Lumen on UE5? I can't find any solution for that anywhere. It's hard to know. I haven't got Unreal 5 loaded up yet. I've got it installed, but I'm not going to have time to load it all up and have a look at that as well. It's hard to notice for certain. The low-res shadows. You have to remember, Unreal Engine 5 is not complete. Any weird bugs, weird issues like that could be issues regarding the engine, or it could be just general issues that you've made yourself. That's why I advise try to avoid making anything permanent with Unreal Engine 5 unless you've got direct access to Epic Games to give them direct feedback and help with them develop the engine. I would advise against it, but until it's released anyway. So it's hard to know for certain if the issue is something that you've got to do in your settings, or if the issue is something with the engine. Something like that sounds like something to do with the light maps of the environment that you can probably have to tweak somewhere, but Lumen being new, I'm 100% not too sure. Yeah. Okay, who else we got? Ilko Helius. Sorry if I butcher your names. I like to create animation sequences inside of Unreal and use that for character animations, especially now with Control Rig. Is that possible? It is. I find it a bit fiddly, but you can do. I haven't got the Control Rig installed on this one, so I can't go through and show you. But once you've got a sequencer loaded up, I'll show you how you do this. Cinematics, add level sequence. Sure. So once you make your sequence, blah 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 blah, with your Control Rig in the tracks and so forth, hopefully you experiment with this and can see how you do it by adding keyframes. So let's say, for example, you've got your whole entire animation here of what you want to do, either through iClone or something like that, or doing it all by hand. Once you've finished with that, you can actually export this as an animation. Find the track you want, which is going to be the Control Rig, and you right click on it and you can export it out. So for example, if I put in a rig in here, if I select this one, maybe I can do it with this one. Can I do it with this one? Yeah. So you can see this option here, bake animation sequence, and that'll take what you've animated in sequence out as an animation asset. So if I click this, for example, it's going to be empty. I don't think it will work with it, it's empty, but it'll come out as an animation asset, like the green underline and everything that you can use in animation blueprints and so on and so forth. So yeah, I didn't like it when it's empty. Let's restart that. So yeah, that would be the way you do that. Hopefully that helps you out there, Marcus. Was it Marcus? Yes, Marcus. No, not Marcus. Ilko, sorry. Uyan, I have a material. This material is covered with a single texture. One side is snowy and the other side normal. I want all sides to remain normal. How can I do it? I want to do it with UE4 without Blender. I will be glad if you show me. My English is bad. Okay, well, I'm going to try and decipher what you mean. So you have a material. It's covered with a single texture. One side is snowy, the other side normal. I want all sides to remain normal. How can I do it? One side snowy. So you're saying, okay. Now there will be a slight delay as I go through this because of the stream, but let's say if I go into something like this, okay. So you're saying the texture here has is basically in two halves. You've got one side that's snowy, one side that's not. Is that what you're trying to say? But you only want to use just the half that you want to use. Is that what you're trying to say? Let me know. I'll answer another question whilst waiting for your feedback, your reply. Like the wall. Okay, so if you only want to use half the texture, like the wall in Log Cabin, is there a Log Cabin thing in here? I don't think there is. There might be something that you've imported in that I don't have. But anyway, so let's look at this one, because this one's pretty easy to do it on and notice it. So notice that this thing has got a texture that is all over the place. So you can actually use this. You can break this apart, not break it apart. Yeah. Use only part of it by changing the texture coordinate. So with the UVs here, you can type it in texture coordinate. This input here, and on here we can set the coordinate index, the UV tiling, UV whatever. But you take the texture coordinate here, and you want to think of UVs coming as 1 1. Okay, so the default is 1 1, so take up the whole thing. So if I were to say divide this by 2, I'll get half of the UV in both directions, so I'll get just the top corner of it. So as you see this come out, I'll just get the top corner. Okay, so I'll just get the top corner of it. If I just want to get that brown, for example, I would divide it by another, what's that, 4. So divide by 2, divide by 8, and we should just get the brown on its own. So you can customize what part of the texture you actually want to use. And I've got the brown there. If you want to use something that is, say the pink one, so you see how you got pink next to this brown here, so I have to shift it along. You want to add value to it, so you go add, and you're going to add a division of this. So you put that in, not divide, but add 1. If I take do divide and do 1 divided by 8, or actually take this multiplied by however many long it is, so that'd be what, 2? I think that's right. And then you add that on and then put that on there, and that should shift it along, I think, if I remember rightly. Oh, yeah, hang on, that won't work. Hang on, what am I missing? It is add. I want to add this again to it. But if I divide that by that. Add those two together, you get to the pink one, I would imagine. Maybe. Oh, material math is not great. No, I'm messing up something there. I can't. It's something like this. But you shift it along like so. Alternatively, you can just put in a append or make vector here. So do vector. Do append. Not append. Just do a 2. That's what I'm doing. And then put in the values here. So this one is divided. If you want to just do the left hand side of it, it'll be your U, that's 0.5, and your G will be 1, and it should do just half of it, I think. No, I don't know. It's something like that. So you divide by this, and you can get a part of it. Hopefully that helps you out and start getting started with that. It's hard to know what your texture looks like without knowing what your texture looks like, how to divide it and break it apart. Yeah, stuff like that. I'm not great at material math. Anyway, moving on. How would you handle bringing a gun up to the center of the screen on a first-person character? Okay, let's do that. No. So I'm in the first-person game here now. So, like, you want to bring it to the center when you, like, aim, I'm guessing. So, if I go to the first-person animations and find the idle one, I'm going to duplicate that and call this one aim. And then with that done, I'm going to go, and I'm going to do a video on this, by the way, at some point, because this would be a good little how-to video. So here's the idle animation duplicate. What I'm going to do is add an additive layer. So I'm going to go to the skeleton tree here, and I'm going to choose the right clavicle, because that's where the gun's being held. Move that down a bit. And then if you go up top, you see key. So this lights up when you select a bone. Click key. And you'll get a new clavicle curve here. This is an additive curve. So you just position it where you want at the start. And get your arm into position of where you want it to be. We'll turn off snap here. And you want to do this for each of the bones you want to do. So for each one, you do need to add a key to this, and you'll get like new curves here. Making sure that your playhead's at the start, by the way. Okay, and we can test this out as well, if this how it looks with a gun. Add preview asset, and we can choose the gun, is it called? Yeah. So I can start seeing how it's going to look. So I'll do that. I'm going to go to hand, add key to this, and we're going to rotate this like so. Like so. And there we go. And we're going to go to the other arm. There we go. Again, add key. You would get it just in the position that you want it to use. Lower arm, key. This is how you make your arms have different poses based on the gun you've got equipped as well, FYI. And upper arm I noticed. I want to stretch out a bit, so. Okay, so something like that. Okay, so I'm bringing it up close to the center of the character, like so. Once I'm happy with that, I'm going to hit apply up here. And then hit save. And then can we use this aim animation to do some cool stuff. So let's go into the animation blueprint. And I've got this going on here. And I'll just do a simple blend by ball. So get is aiming, get and do blend by ball, and I'm going to put this in false and put that in there. This is just a way of placing it. You don't have to place it here, and you'll see aim come out. Put that into true, and hit compile and save. So I now need to tell my thing to listen out for a boolean on our character. So I'm going to go into our character here. Right, and let's do right mouse button. And make a boolean on here. Is aiming, and set that to true, and when I release it, set it to false. So now I've got that boolean now. I can go back to my animation graph here, and we can just use what we've got here. I'll tell you what we'll just do it straight on here. Mesh. Get game, get anim instance, cast to first person and BP, set B is aiming, set that to true, and plug that in to there. And we'll just copy and paste this. So false. There you go. That'll do. So we should now hopefully see this work. Obviously you need to do stuff to the camera. No, it don't work. What we've got wrong. Did I apply it? Yes, there. Oh wait, why is it animating like that? Well, nonetheless, it's not doing it. So why is it not doing it? Play anim. I'll set it to play rate to 0 as well, so it just goes up into that position and stays there. Why is that not playing? Is aiming true? Let's just do a print string here. Make sure that that's working. No, why is it not working? First person NMBP. Oh, I know why. I'm using this mesh by accident. It's not this one. They've got their own one. It's here. There we go. That'll do it. Using the wrong mesh. There you go. So obviously you need to tweak the position of it correctly and just tweak that to get it right. But you get that going on now. And if you want, you can then tweak the camera to change its field of view so it gets like a zoomed in look. You can do simple aiming stuff like this. You just play about with the settings here to get the way you want it to be. So mine was a bit too far what, so I need to turn it a little bit. Up arm. Save. Oh then, play about with it. Yeah, that's the gist of it. That's what you got to do. Hopefully that helps you out. Commando Jake, can you do a tutorial on beam weapons? I'm trying to get the beam to emit from a hard point to the selected target. What kind of... Can you give me an example of a beam weapon from a game so I know exactly what you mean by a beam weapon? Cheers. Kian the Scorpion, thank you for a donation. Thank you for the super chat donation. How would you suggest I affect a character that is standing in light versus standing in dark area? For example, character's sanity decreases in dark. So this is something I've been playing about with, trying to find a good way of doing this. There's not a great way of doing it. The easiest way of doing it is to do a line trace to any light actors that are in your scene. If you can see the light, then you are in light. If you can't see any light, then you're in shadow. That is unfortunately the best way of doing it. It is not great. I don't like it, but it is the best way of doing it. So far, I've found. There's one way I've been experimenting with, and that is doing a screen capture component and taking the light level of the screen capture texture, evening it out, finding the average value of the light that's in the darkness, the brightness of the picture. But I've yet to have success with that one. The closest I've got is that are you in shadow, is can you see the direction of the light. It's different with the directional light here, because the directional light is something that is, yes, it exists in space like this, but the light does come from everywhere, so you have to do a line trace up for that direction there. So let's do the directional light here, for example. And this will have to be on a tick, because you are testing all the time whether or not you're in a shadow or light. So in here, we're going to get the directional light, get actor of class, and search for directional light. And then we have to do a line trace in that direction of that object, but based on its rotation. So we get a line trace by channel, and the starting point will be the actor location. Get player we're on the player character. Yeah. Get actor location, put that into the start, and the end point will be the actor location plus a vector. Ooh. and that vector is going to be the direction of the opposite rotation of the directional light. So I get this, I get the rotation of it, I get the forward vector of it. Obviously I want to go backwards, so up in the air. We'll take that and multiply it by -1. Well, actually just do minus and then however far you want to go. So do minus 2000 and put that in there. The minus will make it go back up into the sky. And if it is, we'll do a branch here. If it does hit something, do in shadow. If not, we are in light. So print string here. If we hit something, we are in shadow. And false, print string in light. So I'm in light at the moment. But if I get behind here, I'm in shadow. If I step out, I'm in light, shadow, light, shadow. And this works for most things. Obviously, a physical object like this, you have to be tall enough to not hit it. It goes based on your character's location, obviously. If it's too short, then it won't work. But this is the best way I've found so far of doing this. But this is dynamic enough, so if things move, you'll have that option there. So we'll do a quick moving object to showcase this. And so this does get massively more complicated if you've got like point lights, stationary lights, other things like that, because then you have to do a line trace between you and that light all the time, and yeah, it's a pain in the ass. So the moving platform here, and we'll just say in here on do timeline. Yeah, I'm not fussed about naming or anything like that. And then do that there. 0, 0. Do 5, 1. Go back here. Add cube. And I'm going to change the size of the cube to be 3 by 3 by 3, so quite big. And then we do, oh hello, set actor location here, and it'll be this location multiplied by this float multiplied by another float. We'll do 600, I don't know, and we'll put that into the X, something special. Okay, actually no, we'll do it in the Y because that's where the light is behind it. And we'll do this, we'll take it to loop. In fact, what I'll do is I'll add a halfway point here, so 2.5 seconds it'll be 1, and then this one would be 5 seconds, it'll be 0. There we go. There we go, and we'll put that in the scene here. And that'll be enough space, I don't know. So I'm in light. Oh wait, yeah, I have to add set relative location. Set actor relative location. Nope, why? Very simple, bad moving platform. But it should. Where is it? Oh wait, we have to. I'll do it on a cube. That'd be better. Set relative location. Okay, there it goes. So I'm in light, but if I get behind it, I'm in shadow. But it's moving. Okay. Hopefully it helps you out, Kian, and hopefully you like that solution. It's not a bad solution, this one. It just gets more complicated when you've got more lights. So if you're doing a horror type thing like light and dark, you shouldn't have enough. You shouldn't have many light actors anyway. But there you go, light and shadow. Who else we got? Okay. The Gauss Cannon in Warthog Turret from Halo 3. That's not a beam weapon necessarily. That is just a projectile. A sci-fi beam. So laser beams you want. Is that what I'm guessing you're saying, Commando? So you can do two ways. You can do a projectile like this, and then just make the shape not a circle, make it beam length. Or you can do a Niagara particle emitter, which will need to be again a mesh, ideally, but you don't have to do it that way. So for example, if we go into the Niagara system here, create an empty one, and let's add an emitter, and go empty one, and emitter update is going to spawn a burst. And we're going to burst 1. Particle spawn, you want it to go very fast. If you're doing a projectile, I wouldn't bother with particle system. If you're doing a hit scan, use particle system, but make it very, very fast. Okay, so there is the circle one, and I can just stretch it rather than, I can even make the texture of the beam itself, or I can just stretch this one out so it looks like a beam. So I'm going to go to here, sprite size mode, and change it to non-uniform. Non-uniform means I can change its X and Y. So at the moment its X is 10. If I change that to 50, I get that sort of length here. I don't know if you can see it that clearly. It's like a beam length. Let's make it a bit thicker too. Let's say 30 there. And let's say 150 there. Okay, so it sort of stretches it out like this. Then you want to add a velocity to it, and you want to add it in the X of say 3000. And you want to go to the renderer of this and tell it to align to face the velocity. And this may need some tweaking as you make this, but we'll go down here, just change the length of this. Yeah, so you can see how the velocity here is breaking my rotation of it. So I'm just going to flip that around on my initialized particle. So I'll do 30 here, 150 there. You get that sort of beam shape going out like so. Add color to it. So add red for phasers. And I'll add some light to it as well. So if I go to renderer here, add a light renderer. I can then choose to add a red light to this. Now XYZ refers to RGB. So if I want red, I'll just put a high value in my X here. So if I would say put 50, I'll get a red light coming out of it. Maybe make it a bit faster. Let's try 5000. There you go, that's pretty good. I'm going to take the lifespan of this down to like just 1 second, because it travels quite far in 1 second. And I want to make this thing not loop, so I'm going to go to the system, to not to loop, and just loop once. And save that. So when I shoot my gun, let's go up here. So rather than spawn a projectile, if you're doing, I'm not going to go through the whole hit scan process, but rather than spawning the hit projectile, I'm just going to do a spawn no system at location, and this asset here is going to be my new Niagara system. And the spawn transform, I'm going to combine these. Oh, you can't combine them, that's annoying. So I'll take the return value here and split that. And put that down here. Okay. So we now should get a little beam coming out. Now, because it is a plane, it won't look too three-dimensional. If you want to make it more three-dimensional, rather than use a sprite, you can use a mesh. So if I go down here to mesh renderer and choose a cylinder, and one of these is already laying down, so that saves me a little bit of work. I'm going to turn the sprite render off now. Another one, this one. And if I face it towards velocity, is that going the right way? I can't tell. Yeah, it's going the right way. So I'm going to change the size of that. So you go to initialize particle, mesh attributes, change the scale to non-uniform. I'm just going to whack it in the X and Y to like 5. And the Z here will do 5 as well. Yeah, the mesh is facing the wrong way. Let's see if I can get a different one. I know there's one already set like that. Oh, I'll just rotate it, it's fine. If I just get the one that's laying down already. Oh, no, I'll just do that. Right, I need to rotate it, so I'm going to go on spawn here, add rotation. Ooh. Mesh rotation. Orient mesh to vector. There you go. It's already done it for me. And that should go flying forwards like so. I do need to give it a material, so I'm going to override material and I'm going to add just... Do I have anything red? Sure. I don't know. Obviously, you make the whole material yourself. I think that's working. It's just no good ones to use. Oh no, there you go. Okay, so that's doing that. Let's just change the size of that again. So here in the X, I want to scale that by 20. No. Oh, because it's local X. So, ooh, what would it be then? 20? No, that'd be 20 that way. There you go. Y would be 5. There we go. So that does that. So now we'll have a mesh fly out rather than the thing. Whoa, too big. Yeah, let's turn that way down. So do 1, 1, 5. Tweak the numbers, but that's it. Stretching from the hard point and target. Okay, so you want a solid beam going from one point to the other, because that's different to what you just said earlier. Is that what you're talking about? But you're talking about sci-fi beams like Star Trek, where you shoot phasers, like little doo-doo-doo. But if you want like a complete beam from point A to point B, that's different. Right. Okay. Now I don't think we have it in Niagara. What I'm thinking of. So you have the. Yes, it is. To me, the phaser is this, where you have like a little doo-doo-doo type thing. That's it. Hmm. if you want it to be a beam going from one point to another, like a solid beam going between the other two, you want to do well, what can you do? Now in the old, I don't know where it is in Niagara, but in the old particle system there was a beam thing in here, so I'm guessing it must exist somewhere else. Beam, so there's a beam, spawn beam. Fix that. So we got beam emitter start setup. Okay, so here's the beam stuff. Don't want that spawn burst then. Hang on, let's delete that. I have not used the beam stuff in this thing, but we'll go through anyway. We won't use the mesh renderer. We'll get rid of that. We'll use the sprite again. I'll need to look up how the beam stuff works. Because it's different to how it used to be. There's a beam template out there. That'll probably be an emitter here. Direct dynamic beam. There's this. There you go, beam. There you go. So you can just set how far you want this beam to go. Like 1,000. There you go. That's what I was thinking of. So yeah. Okay. So you've got the. You say you've got the particle system. So what's the problem if you've got the beam working? Okay. You can't tell because you've deleted all the messages. Hang on. Do you want to? Do you mean you want to expose the endpoint here and show this? It spawns in place. Oh right, you want it to move. If you go on here, you should be able to add velocity to it. Does that not work? Pause, I pushed the wrong button. Delete that. Velocity. And add 500 to that. You probably need to animate the beam emitter. Let's go to beam. Update beam. Oh no, that's just a take to update it. Oh, misspelled it. They're not working then. With this. Oh, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Flying off. You just add velocity to it then. That seems to be right. The entire beam at the midpoint spawns at my hard point, like spawning a random actor. I'm probably going to win if I... The entire beam at the midpoint spawns at my hard point. Oh, right. Okay, you want to... Okay, yeah, you need to send the endpoint. This beam end, you need to expose that as a parameter. Again, I'll go through the whole process of making a hit scan gun to do it. But you have this set as a parameter. To make a parameter, go to your system, go user parameters, and add one. That'd be a vector. And we call it like beam end. Location. And then you set that over here on your emitter. So you go over here, beam end. We'll do our beam end location. So once you got that, you go to your character, drag this out, and vector parameter. There you go. And you're going to put the name of it there. So that's beam end location. Okay. And what you want to do with the endpoint, if you're doing a line trace out, you want to get this part of it. Again, I'm not going to go through the whole process of setting up a hit scan gun, but without hit, break this. You want, sorry, not break that. Sorry, you want to get, we want to get the location relative to your start point of your gun. So that will be, that'll be this broken. So you get the trace end minus the actor location. This will go into your parameter here. Okay, and what I'll do is it will look at the trace end location, because you take away the actor location, it will turn it to a relative location. Alternatively, you can do inverse transform of it and get that, and then that will get you the endpoint, and it will draw a beam then from your point to the endpoint of the thing. Maybe, I don't know. I guess that's what you mean. But we'll move on to another question. Question from Bartisus. Question: I'm interested in game initialization flow. When objects are constructed, on what actors begin play will call first. Do you know a way to control that flow in a level? You cannot change that flow, but what happens is when you first start a game, the game instance spawns and then starts spawning the game mode, level, and so forth. When your actor spawns, as soon as the actor becomes part of the level, they do begin play, and that's the only time they do it. They will call it again if you come out of the level and go back into level. So for example, if an actor is in like a sub level that you stream in, this will also trigger when you unload it and reload it, so it will come in twice, I believe. So that will be when it just begins playing the thing. The tick happens on per frame by default. However, you can change that. If you go to the tick event, go to the class defaults, and you'll find a tick interval. 0 means every frame, but you can actually change that to any number of seconds you want, and that will change the length of the tick. But yeah, but there's no way to really control the flow of which event triggers which. In turn, they happen in a fixed way. Deadfire Studios. Hi Ryan, I'm making a 3D basketball game, and when the player shoots, I want the player to rotate towards the net. Thanks, it would really help. Okay, so this character here, we're going to make him rotate towards an object. Okay, so I'll make my net. Call it net, and we'll give this thing a sphere. Done. I'm then going to drag this out and put this up on the wall like this. When my character pushes shoot, for example, we'll do it on shoot. I'll make a function for it so it's a bit more separated out. Aim at net. Smell smoke. That's not good. From outside though, that's alright. So aim at net, we're going to get actor of class, which would be the net. If you've got two nets, then you have to work out which one's closer. But you get the net, get the location, and you want to find the look at. So find look at rotation. Start point will be, sorry, the target will be that location there. Start will be your location. So get actor location. And here you want to set the control rotation. Because this is first person in this case, the whole character is using the control rotation to handle the rotation of the character. So I'm going to do set control. Hold on, I have to get the player controller first. Set control rotation. And that should force my camera to look at my net. So if I put that in there, aim at net, and plug that in. Oh, I've got some issues. Hold on, let's put some stuff I was messing about over here. Yeah. So that should, when I shoot, point my gun at the net, no matter where I am. Okay. Because my character is controlled by the control rotation, and you know that, by the way, if your mouse is controlling anything about their position and rotation, but you can also see that over here, when I got use controller rotation yaw, that's affecting that. So, yeah, tweak that, and it'll point the camera to it. If you want to point just the character to it, so if you've got like a top-down view, you would do set actor rotation, rotation to match the rotation that you get from there, rather than set control rotation. Okay. I'm just going to double check there isn't smoke in my house somewhere. Bear with me. Either that or I'm having a stroke. I think it's outside. Okay. Next question. Ryeth, what do you think about Unity? It's a good engine. I don't know what I meant to ask about that. Answer that one. It's a good engine. Use it if you want to use it. I'm not here and advocating that you must use Unreal. You use what's best for you in your circumstances in your game that you want to make and what you're comfortable with. Obviously, I'm more comfortable with Unreal, but it's a good engine. It's fine to use. I haven't used it in a number of years. It's something I want to go back into and learn a bit more in, but I'm very busy with just Unreal stuff, so it's all right. Okay, we got not much time left, so I'll try and pick something that I can answer quickly. So any chance, this is from Aikidoka. Any chance to get a tutorial about how to create an interaction menu in the Sim style where you get to choose, get close to an object and click on it in an option menu, come and you can choose what to do. Okay. So you have to have an on-clicked event to do that, and you have to have a widget. I don't think there's a quick way of showing this. There's not going to be a quick way to show it. I'll probably do a separate video on how to do all that stuff, but you have an active on-clicked event. I'll talk you through it. So you do an active on-clicked event. That will add a widget to the viewport, and you usually want to put that at where the mouse is, usually. Then you want to fill that window with context stuff based upon what you clicked on. So the actor you click on will have an array on there of the options they will have available for the player. So like look at, pick up, eat, whatever, and that will then go fed into the UI as it makes it. So you expose those variables to spawn. So when you do create widget, they'll appear as pins, and you'll plug in your choices pin, and which will build that menu up for you. But yeah, there you go. Is a compass system with UI easy to build? It's not too bad. It's just a bit of maths involved, that's all. So you have, I'm guessing what you mean by compass, you mean like a thing at top of here, where you have like the north, south, east, west, whatever. So you get your rotation in yaw. So when you're looking at the yaw here, yaw in the X would be 0. So you'd make that north, or whichever you decide is north, that would be north. And then you divide the length of the picture by the number of degrees that you can turn. So 360 degrees typically. And you then sync that up with the control rotation of the character. Obviously I can't do this because I don't have a picture, but maybe something like that I can go through in a video at some point. But that's it's not too bad. It's all about knowing where the location is in relation to the player. North, south, east, west is pretty simple to do because it's fixed to the world, using the yaw. But if you want, say, icons to appear, for example, you need to know their location in the world relative to you and make it show like that, I guess. It's going to be a few bits involved, but not enough time to do it now. Yeah. A long time ago I mentioned fog of war or unhiding elements on the map. Do you ever cover that? I haven't covered it yet. It will be hopefully part of the RTS series, where we cover it in a bit more detail. It's not a great workaround, but it will be covered in that at some point. But yes, we will be doing it at some point now. Is it possible to deal damage with separate gun actors and multiplayer, like using your gun series to players? I can't get it to work. Any help would be great because I'm really annoyed about this. Is it possible to deal damage with separate gun actors? Yeah, of course it is. Like using your gun series to players. Yeah, I mean, yeah, dealing damage. Best thing to do is follow my online replication series, because I cover that, and towards the end of that it covers about guns and shooting at players and dealing damage to players and affecting that. The main thing you have to remember is damage being dealt can only be done by the server. Server handles all damage, so if you try to get the client to do it, it won't work. So if the client has to ask permission for the server to deal damage to someone, so bear in mind that. But check out the online replication series for greater guidance on that. And last one, or last couple at least anyway. Akidoka, how can I make a character visible or invisible in game? Like for example, a ghost, I want it to go invisible sometimes and visible others. If you mean actually invisible, you can just use the visible tick box. So actors have the visible option in rendering for their mesh. So you find the mesh or whatever part of the body you're doing, you can change visible or not. If it is something that fade in and out, that needs to be on a material that is translucent, and that translucent material will then fade in and out. But is otherwise it's simple as just turning off and on the visible option for each of the visible elements of your thing. Yeah. Avid Hesh, in your multiplayer series, cast a player state failed every time, even after doing the same as given in a tutorial. Could you suggest something on that? Failed player state. If your cast is failing, then what you're plugging into it is probably wrong. It's hard to know without seeing it, but it means what you're plugging into it is something wrong. Apo, it doesn't use a fire bullet function. The player uses it on the gun. Yeah, so you have to replicate the gun. You have to do the exact same thing, but with code on the gun, and handle replication in that sense. Yeah. Underfunded scientist, I hope you've been enjoying being able to dedicate more time to YouTube and your personal projects. Thank you. Yes, for those who don't know, I am now doing this full time. So I'm doing one-to-one sessions with people and private sessions pretty much all week, especially all day Monday and Tuesday. And then Thursdays and Fridays I'm doing like recordings and working on freelance projects. So people have hired me to work on their games, to make stuff for their games. So that's what I'm doing on those days. As well as making content as well. There's been loads of stuff I wanted to do. It's all over here on my whiteboard, of things I want to do for the channel that I haven't been able to because of time. Thank you to all your support and the Patreon support as well, especially for their generosity, because it means that I can now do this full time and do more cool stuff and work extra hard to get that stuff to you. So there is going to be really cool stuff happening. One of the things that I've been able to do is change the format of my tutorial videos. So now, rather than just a video tutorial, there is going to be an intro and outro to them. It's showing, so the intro will show what you're going to do and the end result of that, and the outro is going to show what you can do next time. So the first series to incorporate that new style is the cover system series, which is over on Patreon right now and will be available to everyone in probably next month, maybe a month after. So yeah, that'll be where you'll start seeing that come up in the future. Current series that are in motion, like the RTS series, for example, they will remain in the old style, just for consistency. But any new series will start in with that new style of doing it. Where can you see your pricing for services? So if you want to find out more information about hiring me for freelance projects, just email me at support@ryandaly.com and give me as much information about what it is that you want me to make. The more detail you give me, the more accurate I can be with how much it's going to cost and so forth. There's day rates, but some things don't take a whole day, for example. So let me know in an email the details of it. Also, it depends on things like if you have a deadline for it, what time frame you have for it, what things you've already got made, if it's bug fixing or not, or, and so forth. But it comes with a revision, so people have like some tweaks here and there. I'll put in some tweaks and so forth. But yeah, okay. Anyway, thank you very much everyone for joining me tonight. It's been a pleasure as always. We do this every Wednesday over question time, but we also do a live stream on Saturdays as well. So if you want to see me working on a live stream on Saturday, it's not question time, but I think this Saturday we'll be working on our Zelda retro remake. So come by on Saturday for more information on that, and look out for more videos coming out all the time. Thanks very much everyone, and I'll see you all next time. Good night and have fun. Bye everyone.